Hello and welcome back to Cards on the Table, the football card podcast. My name's Kieran, and as always, I'm joined by Jack, Ryan and Pete. Each week we dive into the world of football cards, from new releases, big pulls to hobby news and collecting tips. This week, I'm excited to say that we've actually got our first guest on, Ben, who's joined us from Manchester CardCon. We're going to be going through, I suppose, his story of getting into collecting, the birth of Manchester CardCon and how that's grown over the years, and a load of other bits, I'm sure. Ben, thank you for coming on.
Ben.
Our first official guest, and hopefully this recording sees the light of day, unlike the last guest recording. So I'm sure it'll be all good. So I suppose it'd be great, for you to give a bit of an intro into, I suppose, yourself, Manchester CardCon, collecting, that sort of thing as well.
Of course, I'll just start off by saying thank you for the invite. Me and Ryan saw each other a couple of weekends ago at Card Collision. We speak quite often. He knows that I'm very complimentary about what you guys have done thus far. I just reiterated when we went out for food the night before Collector's Showcase that I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. That's where the compliments finish, and the next thing I'll actually ask you is...
I told these guys earlier, I think you are our biggest fan, you know. I think you're probably about the only one who's watched every episode. I'm that I know of. And the fact you listened to it all the way down to London as well, mate, was honestly nice to hear, mate. So thank you so much for your support more than anything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I'm certainly spreading the word as well, because I do believe that when it comes to sports podcasts, sports card podcasts, I must add, is we're very much in our infancy. So it's very refreshing what you guys are doing, and I'll bang that drum. I was only actually having a conversation early today with Sam from Badger Breaks, who is also a fan. So I'm sure it's
cool.
put you. You're doing a good thing. I'm sure it's put your minds at rest knowing that you've got at least two fans in me and Sam.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I
It's
love
a
it.
starting point, isn't it? You know what I mean?
No, it's good. And to be fair, we'd be having these chats anyway. We're just not recording them normally. So it's good to get them recorded and have other people listen to it. So I suppose how did you first get into, I suppose, card collecting?
I feel like with you guys will be able to relate to this. Especially more so boys growing up, is we always collect something. Whether it's figurines, other bits of tat, as I call it. So you tend to gravitate from one hobby to the next. Certainly for me, it started off with football stickers, which we've all had those memories of, and I just came away from that, because the older you get, especially your teenage years, it's sort of like, oh, it's not really cool that. Then you start becoming interested in other things. Two of those, especially going through adolescence, is one, girls, two, alcohol. Usually purchased with a fake ID or waiting outside the shop for somebody to go in for you. I've always been a collector at heart, and for me, despite me being quite the minimalist, which is very difficult when it comes to card collecting, is I've always got a lot of joy out of picking up something which is a material good. So, over the years, I've collected vinyl records, football shirts, which is still very much a passion of mine. I don't actually discuss it that much. So, I could talk about football shirts for hours, but I appreciate it's quite late, and it's a sports card podcast, so we'll focus on that. But for me, it was just before COVID, so I'm actually a big New York Knicks fan, and I started a New York Knicks UK fan group and created a Instagram account, and the icon that you see on your bio is a plus, like for similar accounts. And I came across, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. They've not been breaking now for over a couple of years, but the algorithm pointed me in the direction of a group of lads called Great British Break Off, who did basketball breaks. And I had absolutely no knowledge what a break is. I mean, our entry level is you have zero knowledge. You just like collecting players that you admire growing up, or you collect cards of the team or teams that you support. And it just went from there. And pretty much with me being quite an impulsive person and being someone who is either not interested or all in. It just sort of like kickstarted those early childhood memories, picking up football stickers, swapping them, or as we refer to it, trading these days. So I thought, well, that brought me a lot of joy when I was a child. So I can see that there's a community for sports cards. Quickly came away from basketball cards. Somehow, I don't know how people referred to me as being the baseball guy in the UK. So did over a few hundred baseball breaks. I mean, I'm a big fan of all different types of sports. F1, baseball, basketball, NFL. Let's not talk about that. The less said, the better. But I've always been a massive football fan, and unless you are either in my inner circle, so talking like my friends away from card collecting or my family, or people who have become friends with me in the hobby. Not a lot of people know that, I do actually collect football cards as well. I mean, it's always something that I've had a big passion for. But yeah, I mean, being a Man United fan, I'll be honest with you, wasted a lot of money picking up Garnacho cards. So I don't want to dwell on that too much. But yeah, and I don't know if you guys can relate to it, but it's just that joy that card collecting gives me. It's just the sound the pack makes when you open it, even the smell of the cards. And for me, when I pick up a hobby box, I know that we refer to the Tottenham basketball hobby box, which was absolutely dead. But generally, whenever I open a hobby box, I'm not doing it to try and recoup the money because I've always been a collector first. And it could be a £5 to £10 value auto. I'm still absolutely chuffed to bits that I've pulled an auto, and there's something symbolic, when you pick up an autograph of a player. So using it, I know you guys had the episode on the team sets and had a really good discussion about that. But I opened a couple of boxes of the Juventus team set that's recently released, and I was quite lucky that I pulled an auto from each box, and one of the autographs was Andreas Moller to 50. I was absolutely buzzing me because one of my early childhood memories growing up is that early 90s, Germany team, and he was one of the big players, along the likes of Matthias Sammer and Lothar Matthäus. So for me to actually pull a card with his autograph on it just tells a story. And I don't know if you guys do this, but I'll just finish off with this. But when you pull an autograph or a hit of a particular player, do you ever go on Wikipedia or YouTube to find out what their whole career was like and what clubs they've played for? And
You know what?
rebels.
I actually did that recently. I did a break of Black Gold, and I've been banging this drum constantly recently about different legends of the game, and and don't laser focus yourself on certain people that are just, I know there's icons in football and there's newer icons of the game and people chase them, but don't laser focus yourself on it. And a Mostovoy came out for Russia for Black Gold. I actually went on Wikipedia to have a nosy at it, because I thought to myself, do you know, if all the people, even if you're the person who bought into that, said, I've got Russia in this break, that is going to be naffle. And then Mostovoy comes out to 25. I was like, that's brilliant, isn't it? Like, it's totally different, unique. It's a nice card to have. You just think to yourself, and he was a bit of a player actually, when you look back on it. But it's it's good to have a good nosy at times. I'm interested. I'm gonna pick your brains on them team sets in a minute though, because I'm interested to see what your
Oh no, we've
thoughts are
started him
on
off
it.
again.
Yeah, brilliant.
I didn't really we haven't actually got much back interaction comments wise. So the fact that you're on now, Ben, is great, because I'd love to know what you think of him. I just feel like, I don't know, bit of a catch-22 in my opinion. In
Everyone's
terms of
agreed with you on our streams though, when we've
so far,
insane.
yeah. But do you reckon they've killed him, or do you reckon they've kept him alive?
I'd say, but I'm all for it. If you want to have another whinge about team sets, I'm all ears.
I just think for the value, and the value of it's what, £45. I think what's the Juventus one about the same price? I think it's about most of them are about 45 quid now. For example, like the Juventus one last year was, what was it? It was an auto and a relic, wasn't it? I think in the Juve team sets last year, it was the one set from the majority of the team sets where it was. I mean, there were value in all of them, but I think that was serious value in that one, to be quite honest, for what you got from it. I don't know. It would be good to know what your thoughts were when you opened it. The fact that if you open one and you didn't get an auto, do you feel like you've been misdone a little bit by it, or particularly knowing what it was last year, or do you still think actually for the quality of the cards, what came out of it when you opened them, you probably thought to yourself, actually, I don't feel too bad about what I've got from it.
Personally, it's £45, isn't it? And it is a slight frustration knowing that you are no longer guaranteed a hit. So whether it's a relic or an auto, but generally, the relics that you have seen in the team sets, they're pretty much worthless anyway. So I'd rather take a numbered card over, a majority of the relics that we've seen from the team sets. But I just thought I always compare it, especially when it comes to risk management, which I'm terrible at when it comes to hobby boxes. But we've had the recent focus set for Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah.
Now, I've enjoyed opening a few boxes of Argentina focus. However, I think I'd rather take the punt on 2 of the Borussia Dortmund team sets than get the focus box. So you're getting more cards. There's more guarantee of numbered cards if you paying £90 for 2 team set boxes rather than the focus Dortmund. And I just prefer autos anyway, and it's a fun, reasonably priced Ritz, especially when you look at what the alternatives are. In life, I'm no big drinker by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, look how much it costs just to go on a night out. Even if it's just a handful of drinks, you're talking £100 plus, and I get so much more joy out of opening boxes. But maybe I was just lucky, and I got the Andreas Muller to 50 auto. The other box was a Leonardo Bonucci to 99 auto, and number to 10 Weston McKennie, which is probably not even worth £10, but still, I had a good time ripping it. It was down at the Fanatics collectibles store in London. But yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of them. I mean, and again, comparisons. Look at the collector tins. What are they? About £15 to £20. I mean, what would you guys rather do? If you had a choice of those 3, would you rather get a collector tin, 2 boxes of, a team set, or the Focus Borussia Dortmund? What do you think the value for money is going to be there?
Yeah, I definitely avoid the collector tin. Because after you've opened one, realistically, obviously with them all being the same base, it's you get exactly the same set again. So I definitely avoid them. I didn't mind I haven't actually ripped any, but I didn't mind when I went through the checklist and stuff for the Dortmund set, because they included some of the older kind of old players that obviously have gone on to do well, like your Haalands and even your Isaacs and stuff like that. I thought they were a bit better than they looked a bit better than the Argentina one, because Argentina was so kind of messy heavy. I thought they didn't look too bad. But yeah, I think with the team sets, I suppose it's 1 in 2. Not that happened for you, Jack, did it? I think you got 1 in 5, right?
1 in 5 when we did the Man City one.
We did a 5-box break as well. I was like, it's 1 in 2. We'll do 5 boxes. Give half a chance. So 1 came out. But we did have some nice cards. We had we had like a Yaya Toure, I think Pete pulled to 25, was really nice. It was that's the Man City one. Don't get the other ones that did come out. I think will hold a lot more strength. I'm in agreement with you. I don't understand collectors tins personally. I feel like with the collectors tins, then the cycle of team sets, then the team sets come. Everything and that's happening at the moment in terms of the cycle of products. I don't know if I don't get its purpose, unless it is really what it says on the tin. It is a collector's tin. You're buying it almost like as if you're doing a sticker book or something, although it's not for sticker books, but you're collecting it for that purpose. I feel like the team sets become a little bit more of the value chances increase ever so slightly, don't they? I think what you can get out of it, and we spoke about it earlier, but like someone's already pulled the Messi 101, for example, from the Barca 25, 26 team sets. It's just these cards that are there's financial I think impacts in a positive way that can happen if you collect for that purpose, or if you collect solely for collecting. There's also a joy there as well, but there's just a lot going on in that space. I think in that value space at the moment for price of what people want to pay just to be able to, like, to your point, Ben, and you're right. If you're not that type of person who goes down the pub on a Friday and has 5, 6, 7 pints, you actually prefer to sit down and actually just enjoy it in a different way from a hobby perspective and rip some packs. These are the types of things people will buy instead of spending 800 quid or more on that on a really expensive box just for a Friday night of fun. It's different, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. And I don't know if it's going to frustrate you this, but when I was at Fanatics for the collaboration trade night, a member of staff opened a Juventus team set, one box, and opened a number to 5 Thierry Henry auto. And that's what it's all about. And it's the gamble, isn't it? I do think the value for money. Again, I'll say it's a shame that they've removed the chance of a hit. It's roughly 1 in every 2 boxes that you pull in an auto. But I just think for some of the team sets, the checklist is fantastic. And even going back to, I think it was 22, 23 or 23, 24. For me, the best checklist we've seen in a team set is the Atletico Madrid one. I think there's only like 17, 18 autos, and some of the autographs that you can pull from that set are incredible. I mean, I'm all in for Greasy. The chance of pulling a Greasy or a Coca auto, or just trying to think of maybe Aguero's got autographs in that team set as well.
Yeah. I've broke a lot of the new ones recently because obviously, again, it's the weird thing that this year they've kind of gathered us all a lot in one go. So we've had kind of 4 release on our doorstep within the space of a few weeks: Man City, Juve, Bayern, and Barca now. And the Barca ones are still really strong, to be fair, and they've done very well selling wise. Like, we have sold a lot of that, literally nearly out of it already. They have flew out for the price point. Again, look at the checklist; you've still got Messi, Yamal in there. Some of the big Ronaldinho's in there, R9 signs in there as well. So the checklist on that is still huge, and I think that as well for the price point is still really, really good. And like you said, they've added an extra number in this time round. And in fact, you know what? A lot of them have been very heavy with freeing. I've had a lot with free numbers in. So even that extra hit there too, kind of makes up for it a little bit. Again, I do miss the one you either a patch or an auto, because you're going to walk into getting one. Again, as a collector, that price point is just so appealing. I still think the European, again, from the question of the last time I spoke about in the last podcast, I have personal ones of each. I was lucky only with the Juve to pull an auto. The others, absolutely nothing, which is a shame. But again, like I say, 45 quid now, £10 cheaper than last year. The gave you a little bit back on the price point too. I still think they're a good little bit. So, and the question, answer the question is 2 team sets over the Focus and the collected tin for me. Again, but the Focus, though, to be fair to it, I broke a lot of that was pretty good. Again, Messi and Maradona stacked, but people buying into breaks was really good. Probably personally, and 2 of people did that for that reason. And the Borussia Dortmund hasn't been too bad either. I find a lot of lower numbered hits as well in this one. A lot of 15s I've had over the boxes I've had breaking. I've had one pretty much to 25 or less in the hits. And in fact, I was speaking about it earlier. One of our other breakers, he had a dual auto and an auto in the same box, so it gave me an extra one there, which was quite a nice one. So picking up them lucky boxes would be good, but again, it's only 15 cards in the box for the price point. So again, for me, the 2 team sets will win over that.
No, it makes sense. At the risk of not letting Jack go off further on the team sets, why don't you tell us about Manchester CardCon? Obviously, your baby now.
Yeah, I've referred to it my baby many times. What would you like to know?
I suppose for the people that maybe don't know about it, what's the show? Do you kind of cover, I suppose, all like TCG in sports, or is it just sports? When's it happening? I suppose it's a good time to plug it as well. And I suppose, how did it all kind of first come together?
Yeah. So for me, I've always been a massive advocate of community. Community is what makes us stick together. I found that, especially with trading cards, it's really made people connect, especially since the pandemic, and coronavirus. We are going through a pandemic in itself, which is around loneliness. So It's what I'm trying to say here is that card shows, they have created a space for people to get together, especially those people who, do struggle to find their people. And, with me being a massive advocate of communities, I built a few communities in the running world. So, I've always not been the conventional blue collar type of person. And me and Ryan, having met a few times and speaking a lot, he'll know that I'm pretty much a heart on my sleeve type of person who, wants the best for everyone. So the idea for Manchester CardCon came off the back of me creating a few running communities, where the space that I created going back 7, 8 years ago was I wanted people from all backgrounds to come together. What you do find in the running community is you walk through the doors at a conventional running club, and the conversation quickly starts of how fast can you run a 5K, how fast can you run a 10K, and for me that didn't really represent inclusivity. So I created my own running collectives. I didn't call them clubs, I called them crews. And that was successful. But what I found is, Matt, I ended up getting a passion for card collecting. It wasn't just running then, so I thought I want to create an inclusive space for collectors as well. Now we are going back 3 years ago, where there was nowhere near as many card shows. There's only probably about 4 or 5. So I just wanted to create that space. I wanted to create that environment where people aren't judged. And on the whole, when it comes to card collective, we are very inclusive people. But let's be honest, gents, it can quickly become a dick waving contest with how much inventory is inside someone's case, and thankfully those people are in the minority. So with the Manchester Card Con, I just wanted to create that inclusive space. But what's important for me to say is a majority of the tables that are available, I believe that it's really important to curate who is a vendor or exhibitor on the day. So I didn't want to have a show that is just full of Pokemon, or a show, that only has football cards. I think it's important that each and every sport is represented. I mean, I've even had a ice hockey vendor at the Manchester Card Con in the past, and that's such a small market, but it went down really well, because once people found out that there was going to be an ice hockey vendor there, that's when they came in like there were a good couple of dozen of ice hockey collectors who turned up, and that's what makes it worthwhile. So the curation is important for me, as well as the quality. It's not about quantity, and I'm so sure we can have this discussion. There are some shows where they've not even had one attendee come through the door, and they're announcing a 150, 200 table show, advertising it as a mixed show, and then when you're turning up on the day, there's either no sports vendors or there's one, possibly two. So it's not fair when you advertise that to your client base. But I've been really fortunate that with me having a lot of connections in sports cards and me being primarily a sports card collector, is other businesses, and I'll give a couple of shout outs right now. So P Commando Cards and Football Cards Direct. We become friends through, them buying into my vision, and I'll be forever indebted to not just both of those brands, but many others who have, believed in my vision as well. That it's all about quality rather than quantity. So yeah, it's just important for me that when people come to Manchester CardCon, they walk away from it saying, I've had the time of my life. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's the mischievous side of me. But I've got a tagline which is bigger is just irrelevant to better always prevails. And it's true to form, isn't it? I mean, we could compare that to hobby boxes, couldn't we? Or even team sets. But it's like, why buy a hobby box of Donruss when you could buy a hobby box of Inception,
Yeah.
for a similar price? You're going to get more quality in that box of Inception. I never thought I'd compared a Manchester card con to a hobby box of Inception, but here we are. But final note from me. Yeah, 31st of January. So that's the 8th edition of the Manchester Card Con. Really excited for it. Again, there's going to be a good split of sports to TCG that is representative of the market. So, from when I last checked the table plan, which was about 2 hours ago, we've got 43 tables of sport and we've got 120 tables there, which, it's great to actually have that variety for people who are coming. We've got more basketball than ever. We've got a few new football vendors who have never been at Manchester Card Con before, and that's another important thing for me. When people are wanting to vent for the first time or they've only done it on a few occasions, I want to give them that opportunity to, be at my card show. We know that it's difficult actually getting spots at a card show now, and I've always been very selective over who is there on the day because I want it right for the attendees that do turn up. Because if you're like a NFL collector, but there's not one NFL vendor there, well, they're just going to walk off quite disillusioned and uninterested about coming to the next Manchester Card Con.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I suppose with your first, so you said this is your 8th. How was it setting up the first one? Obviously, you mentioned you kind of done some bits, obviously with the running side before, but like obviously, I suppose creating a full event, getting vendors on, like how did it go on the first Manchester Card Con?
If I'm being entirely honest, I had zero expectations because the hobby has transcended and changed so much, and it's grown massively since. So it was, I branded it as a day of celebration. So going back to that first Manchester Card Con, which was February 2023, 320 people there, 48 tables. My goodness, what a day. It was unreal because absolutely everyone, had a memory that they could take away from them, and that's what it was all about for me. And it's funny, at the time that was actually considered a reasonably sized show, and now it'd be like, oh, I'm not going to that show. It's only got like 48 tables. It's tiny. But again, it leads back to quality. I mean, I didn't really announce it to anyone other than a few friends and obviously the vendors, of course. The two people that I did speak to about actually announcing it and putting on a show was my partner at the time, sorry, who said, "Don't do it, you'll lose money," which it wasn't about the money for me. And my mum, who tells me no all the time, I mean, I've just hit the grand age of 40, and she still tells me no every time I come up with an idea or ask for advice. So the two people who mattered the most to me actually, tried to persuade me not to put it on, but you've got to take a risk, and sure that you guys have seen that, especially with card collecting, and I know that we've had conversation in the past, Ryan, like you taking this on, as a full-time gig. It's a risk, but unless you try, you don't know, and I'm so thankful that I did, and there's been so many pinch me moments because I never envisioned that it will get to the point where it's got to now, where the last 3 times over, we were at capacity at Stockport County Stadium, beautiful venue. It hosted 1,000 people, but eventually you've got to adapt and evolve.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely that. I mean, like you said, Ben, it's like you had a lot of people in your ear, especially people close to you telling you no. But I think like when you're so passionate about something, and you really want something to happen and you just love what you do, I feel like you just said you feel like you can't lose in it because you're going to put so much effort into it because it's your passion, it's your love, it's your hobby, and obviously you've made it very like well made over the last few years, and it sounds like a real big success. I've not been to one yet. I'd love to come to the next one. We'll see if I can get up there and support you in that. But what goes actually behind the scenes in creating a card show then? Because obviously we turn up and we see all plain sailing. It's obviously well organized. It's kind of you get let in at the times, and everyone's playing passes on some occasions and stuff like that. And it goes on. It seems all pretty above board. What goes to be behind the scenes in creating a show then?
It's not as simple as, excuse me, hiring a venue. In the cost behind actually organising and putting on a show, there's so many unseens, and it's like when I don't know if any of you guys are married, but there's so many unseen costs. It's like, oh, we need to get favors for everyone who turns up to the wedding. That's a good, a few £100 gone straight away. So it's all those unseen costs, and it's the strategy behind it as well. Even though I don't consider myself to be an entrepreneur, because I'm not a big fan of the word. I do describe myself as a creative. Is the strategy behind it, because you want things to be really slick, and you're never going to get anything in life perfect. But it's just the constant ideas, like the to-do list that you have to go through. So I mean, a big thing that I've spent time on, in the past month or so, is the floor plan. So I've actually been to the venue, because it's a new venue, so I don't know it like the back of my hand, like I did at Stockport County Stadium. So I've been to the venue 3 times over to measure it up, just to put my mind at rest. So, I've had my measuring tools there. I've been consulting with my own floor plan. That can quickly change, especially if you get a vendor who says, I've got this set up, or, I mean, I've only had it a couple of times, thankfully, or I don't really get on with that vendor, so can you move me? So again, you're going back to the drawing board, and like storming and forming again. But yeah, it's just ensuring. I mean, the big thing is safety, and we've seen it recently. I don't know if you've seen it doing the rounds, but we've had a couple of high value thefts at card shows just in the last month or so, which is sad to see. But if anything, that shows that it's no longer a niche hobby. There is a lot of money in it, and there's going to be opportunists. So, me just announcing that we're going to change a couple of things at the next Manchester Card Con, more so around security and ensuring that people who are vending are actually who they say they are. But yeah, it's just all those things. So it's even though it's a passion project of mine, I always gravitate to the one reason why I put it on in the first place, which is to build a community. It has grown legs. It's become a part-time job in itself. So we're actually up until 3 a.m. doing admin, then back up at 5:30 for my proper job. But like Ryan said, he used that word, passionate. I'm passionate about it, so it gives me that sense of purpose where I get so much joy out of it. And when you see so many people in the same room, smiles on the face, connecting with one another, putting those Instagram handles or whatnot handles to names, and then seeing those friendships flourish and grow into something fantastic. I mean, I'm looking forward to the day that we get our first card show wedding that takes place. It's going to happen, but that's what it's all about. I mean, you guys share with me. I mean, what sense of community have you got from card collecting? I mean, how much has it brought into your life?
Oh yeah, I think if anything, yeah, for myself, like it's totally transformed everything, because obviously kind of built a website fully off it. And to be fair, even from doing that, like the community from the website itself obviously is great. You get a lot of users, and it's something that I haven't seen before in terms of kind of success at the rate that it's gone. But the community aspect from like the Instagram and stuff, and speaking to people on a regular basis, and everyone being really open, and like different card shows and stuff like that, you go up to speak to someone, and because obviously with a lot of it, you do recognize a lot of people's faces, because people that vend also break quite a lot, and you'll recognize them from whatnot and stuff like that. So it's quite nice sometimes, because you feel like you already know a lot of them when you get there, having not even met them before. But yeah, the community aspect's massive, because everyone's always happy to help, and you don't always get that a lot of the times with stuff, especially when, as you say, kind of like it's got to a point where it's outside of a niche now, and there's a lot of money involved and stuff like that. And you tend to find that people then normally, when there's a lot of money involved, become more closed off and not happy to help people and want something for helping and stuff like that. And I'd say in this, even now, even though it has become super popular, it's everyone is still happy to help. Everyone's really happy to jump on and chat. Everyone's happy to kind of share what they've done that's worked or what's maybe not worked that then helps the next person or the next breaker that's going to do something or the next person that's starting a card show. Do you know what I mean? There's always that aspect that everyone just wants to help because it just makes the hobby better. And the hobby itself is exploding as well, which is nice to see.
That's exactly it, right? It's the growth of it. I mean, I've only ever been personally to one card show, which was Milton Keynes. So I definitely want to get on the list to try and get to more because I think it's just like it's crazy to be quite honest how many there are and like to that point you talk about community, how many people you can connect with and actually talk to and people you talk to virtually, whether it be through your phone at night when you're actually having a good old chinwag with people and you're watching whatnot streams or through your Instagram because people are looking at hits of cards that have been pulled or everything that's going on. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy, but I think one of the biggest things community-wise is the growth in what's happening at the moment. Speaking again personally, see it quite often when people are coming into the streams at the minute, whether I'm sitting in streams or they're coming into my streams, mine and Pete's. They're new to the hobby. They're asking questions about what's going on. They automatically start building a little relationship with you in terms of like, okay, I feel quite safe. I feel safe. I can ask questions about how this actually works. What am I collecting? What's the whole sort of gist behind it all? And we say it quite often on this podcast, though, where we talk about it all the time. Always ask questions. Don't like come into something and then just sit there and think to yourself, I'm going to watch, just watch it and not take part when you actually want to take part. Ask before you buy into something or before you get an interest into a set that's been, that's available to you to run, or if there's something going on, even in the card show world, try and figure stuff out and actually, speak to people because it isn't, it isn't a closed book. I think, there is a lot, you get to know so many people and build relationships with so many people. It's crazy. I've got people who, are now over time, you figure out are actually from the same city as like where we're from, like Leicester, and Leicester fans all of a sudden and want to go for a beer down the pub, even though God forbid I actually want to go and watch that trough at the minute.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? It's scary, really. Yeah, it's Christmas. Yeah, I'll meet you. We'll have a good chat. We'll have a catch up. Little things like that create it and make it quite personal, and then it does soon. Like before you know it, start becoming a bit. It is like a serious passion. It's not just something you've picked up to do because I hate to say it, and I'm sure it's not for everyone, but it's because you think, oh, it's just I can make a little bit of money from this, and this is going to be a good ride. There actually becomes a lot more to it, which I think overtakes the other side of it. Really, it's brilliant. I won't look back from it now.
I think, Jack, I'd rather buy a collector's tin than buy a Leicester ticket at the minute.
I think so, mate, to be quite frank with you.
But no, to be fair, on my end, again, I've gone to a lot of shows this year, mainly because I work a bit there now, I do a bit of streaming work there with eBay Live and stuff. But the first, again, it's that memories thing, and coming back to what Kieran said about that, everyone's just really helpful and just so nice within the hobby and the community, because some of my best memories from the hobby at the minute is from these card shows and meeting some of the people that I have now and know and talk to quite regularly now. We literally spoke about it the weekend. We just went to the old ladies fair in Birmingham, which was a real nice new one. It was all ladies collectible stuff, some card vendors there. We were there ourselves, Football Cards Direct and She Scores Cards, for example, big, collectors and vendors in the women's end of the sport. And back in, I think it was the first card show in London in Feb. Me and Charlotte, my partner, went on our own and didn't take the kids to this one. And we actually just bobbed around, just had a little look to see what it was like. Just kind of, never been to these before, didn't know what to expect. And like, for example, one of the memories was going to like She Scores Cards. I shout them again, really good people in the hobby in the space. And we talked about our daughter plays football and big fan. She's not really into too much card collecting at the minute, but you should probably get there at some point. I know what we do. And it was like, here, what's her favourite player? And was like, oh, she loves Mary Earps. And like literally on the cards and their flick throughs, pulled out Mary Earps card, went, here you go, give that to your daughter. It was like, well, that's like amazing. I had a £3 sticker on. So, something they could have sold for £3 that day. They've met us for the first time, never knew even names at that point, and went, here you go, let's start your daughter's journey. And then it was nice at the weekend to take Tia to this one and go, these are the two guys that kind of started your collecting journey right here. These two ladies gave you that Mary Earps card that you have in your collection. And it was so nice to do that. And then rolling that around your family too. And like, we went to the collectors showcase Olympia, obviously, when we seen Ben there the other weekend, and I had my greatest card show to date. And it wasn't because kind of what we sold, what I bought. It was what people actually did for me to make my time there special. It was like I got really looked after on the day, to be fair, by a great group of people that was willing to like either help me out or see me good. For example, I was streaming between 1 and 2 at eBay on the eBay van, and being a big Leicester fan, it was amazing that Robert Hoof and Wes Morgan was there, of course, for us, and Jack and Pete probably tell you the same pinnacle of winning the league. The captain's there, they held the trophy, and they would pair with the solid, defenders at the back. And the fact that they were there at card show, I was really like, this is amazing. But they were signing between 1 and 2. I was like, oh no, like the one time I'm streaming throughout the day, I've had that time slot, so I was a bit good about it. But I went and seen the Much Wow boys again. Shout out to them, another Leicester vendor. And they're like, oh look, you bought some cards to get signed. I was like, nah, I haven't actually physically got any because I'm kind of fairly new to the hobby. So I missed that kind of period in that era of collecting. I collected young and I collected now. So I haven't really got any cards. I was like, yeah, got the binder open. Here's a Wes Morgan and Robert Hoof card. £5 sticker on each, by the way. Give them, here you go, get them signed. I was like, oh, guys, honestly, they've done me a solid. So nice. That was the first favour of the day, like, one helped me out with. Then I said to the Midas Greggs guys again from TikTok, brilliant pair of boys. A bit gutted. I can't get my, sign them on eBay. It's like, right, give us something, we'll get it signed for you. Give them 2 cards. They come when I was streaming, holding the cards in the background, going, here you go. I was like, oh, get in there, boys. So they done me a solid. And then third, but certainly not least, Paul, the football card director who I work for and work with now, actually spoke to event organisers and the guys with Hoof and Morgan today and tried to get them to come on and say hello to me during streaming. You know what? They did. It was like towards the end of the stream, I was opening the box and I knew around the corner, them pair coming straight to the steps. I was like, oh my goodness, they coming to see me. I was like a little fanboy, a little bit hit me off guard, but like,
They want
that's
your
just the little,
autograph.
yeah, honestly, it was such a special moment and by far the best card show for me to date, just because of them little memories that people were willing to help me out, look after me. And again, it's that just being nice to people. I thought it was so humbling and warming. And that for me is what the card shows are all about. And like I say, fair play to you, Ben, for creating that on a huge scale for many people on a day like that. I think it's props to you, mate. I think it takes a lot, I think, to create something like that.
It was a really nice weekend, and I'll give a shout out to Jordan at Collectors Showcase. Also the organiser of Scotland Card Show. Me and Jordan have become really good friends. And he asked me earlier in the year if I'd give him, a hand throughout the whole weekend. He actually asked me, will you be able to help me? Because I need someone who has an idea what they're doing. It's like, what do you mean an idea? I don't know whether I should be, receiving that as a compliment or the, or whether it's a backhanded compliment. But wow, what a weekend! And Robert Hoof, Wes Morgan, really nice guys. Had a really good conversation with them both in what I called the green room. So it was like a office space. I just called it the green room because it sort of reminded me of like the Jonathan Ross show before the guests come out onto the couch. But yeah, really nice guys. Turns out that Robert Hoof doesn't actually live too far from me because when I introduced myself to him, he asked me, "Are you from Manchester?" So yeah, oh, did you pick that up? So I just racks him. He says, "I live just outside of Manchester." It's like, yeah, I do as well. But yeah, and even those are small moments, and this is what community is all about. It's like when we went out for food on the Friday night, Ryan. Even though it's not sports card related, but you've got the voice actor of Mewtwo and Charizard turning up to have a drink with us.
Yeah, crazy.
It's really obscure. Like some of the people you meet in this hobby, it's mad, but it just takes you on a journey, and I'm really looking forward to where it takes us all because we are in our infancy. I mean, just imagine some of the people that we will have been able to connect with and become friends with, and I will be able to reflect back, just in 5 years' time. And I've been all in now for close to 6 years now, and I just think this has been so overwhelming in the best way possible. I just think, what's the future going to hold?
Yeah, and even like you're just saying there at the start of that conversation, like again, even with your card show hosts, you're all helping each other out. Like you've been asked to help another card show. Sometimes it can be seen as a competitive space where people are going, they're comparing that card show to this card show. This one was not this good. This one had flaws. This one was good. And that can seem quite competitive. Who's going to be the best card show creator? But it's also good to see even in that space that you're all helping each other out to create better card shows too, which is really nice to hear.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't look at other card shows as being the competition. If anything, the competition for me is the vendors and attendees because they are the reason why the Manchester Card Con exists. Without them, I certainly wouldn't be able to welcome people back each and every time. So they're my actual competition because I want to keep them on side, and the amount of conversations I have with vendors and even sponsors, I actually get to know each and every person, and I think that's important that I am the face of Manchester CardCon, just like other card show organisers will be able to relate to. So it's important that we are engaging and interactive, and we actually show that we are very grateful for these people being able to exhibit, and especially the sponsors. And no matter what any other card show organizer would say, if it wasn't for sponsors believing in that vision and wanting to support shows, these shows wouldn't actually happen because there is a lot of cost there's a lot of cost behind actually organizing it. And I mean, sponsors at Manchester CardCon must get frustrated with me because I just give them a ring quite late at night. So I actually gave Luke at P Commando a ring at about 9:30 on, I think it was Saturday night. But I had to text him before I rang him saying, "Don't answer if you're busy." But people answer anyway. So that's where it's taken me. It always goes back to community, and like some of the friendships that I've gained. Forever be thankful for.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you touched on as well, obviously, the hobby, and I suppose the card shows over the years have kind of grown and grown. I suppose how big can it get? Obviously, the hobby itself is exploding just from what we see on a regular basis, and obviously from yourself, you'd see the same thing. Like, how big do you think it will get in 3-5 years? Like, do you think it will keep growing? Yeah, what do you predict?
I feel the collector base will continue to grow. We'll have, the increase of collectors I think it'll just go through the roof. I'd say that we're so far behind to the US for collector base. But like you just look at the number of people. I mean, even in work now, it's probably because I just don't shut up about it. But there's people who actually come up to me and like, "Do you collect Pokemon?" It's like I don't collect Pokemon, but collect sports cards. Like someone's told me, it's always it's like it's still
Yeah.
age because they like always whisper because they don't want other people to hear. It's like I've been told that you organise a card show. Is that correct? Like it's like some secret club.
Yeah.
Contraband.
It's like, yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, I do. I mean, I'm all singing or dancing. I don't shut up about it. But I've seen that just over the last 18 to 24 months. There's people who you don't expect would collect sports cards who now do, and they're all in. But for the future, I think in terms of collectors, that will increase. For card shows, it's great that we've got a lot of them on the market, and there's always the discussion about whether they are too saturated. But I think what is saturated when it comes to card shows is the number of Pokemon or TCG only shows. There's so many. I mean, last weekend I think there was 3 in one weekend, and they are in different parts of the UK. So people have got that accessibility, and they are great. If you've got a card show in your locality, but in terms of the future for the hobby, for me, I don't think we'll get to a junk wax era. I don't know if you guys have ever discussed it amongst each other. We are seeing so many sets being released. But let's be honest, like a majority of the time they're selling out or going on the secondary market. So it shows that there is a market there. The supply and demand, clearly is working well. Even me, for example, I can't even pick up any more boxes of EFL stickers. They're sold out everywhere. I can't get them anywhere. I can't even get them from Panini. So that's the latest thing that I've started collecting. So the supply and demand's there. I mean, the one thing that I'd like to see is just more of the same. People getting along with each other. If you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I think it's important that we all need to stick together. We do see people on the odd occasion who they get manipulated by those with collateral in the hobby, and then we lose them. And that's why it's important to actually guide these people through the hobby who are new to it, be completely upfront and honest with them. as much as it is an absolutely beautiful hobby, it can be an expensive one, and it can have a massive impact on people's personal lives. But I always say, just remember why you collect. It's for the joy of it. I mean, all of us speaking right now, our first card, the likelihood is, was a base card, and the joy we took just from that one base card, not numbered, not autographed. It's a fantastic feeling, and you just need
Can you
to
remember it, Ben?
So I actually do, it was a base card. So it was a New York Knicks player called RJ Barrett. And I actually got it graded. So like I said, I'm all in. So I found out about grading.
Yeah.
So this base card that was probably worth 5 to 10p, I got graded and it come back in 8.
50p now, isn't it?
Yeah. I've no longer. I mean, again, it's a story. There's always a story to tell when it comes to your collecting journey. But the other, I've no longer got it. But one of my earliest cards was from the first release of Star Wars Galaxy. So I am a Star Wars fan. So the Darth Vader card, I think it cost me about £5 on eBay. I'll never get rid of that, and it means more to me than any other card. I've got cards that are in the hundreds easy, but they don't touch this Star Wars card. And I'm interested to find out what your first card is, so we can go around the room right now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Ryan will tell you. Ryan used to laugh at me. I used to sit in like Futera. Like it was Futera. I love Futera, and both like buying it. My first proper card, I remember it was a heritage. It was a Dimitar Berbatov, and it was. I think it was actually quite good. It was to 10. And I remember it like rocking up these heritage cards. Like Futera always give like loads of detail, and then from then that was it for me. Like I was I was hooked from about August onwards. It was like right, message me and go, right, so what are you doing in there again? I was like, no, just stay out. I'm incognito. Don't watch me. I used to just that was it. Then my collecting started from there, and it just But that Dimitar Berbatov, I was like, I was happy with that. Yeah, first card. What the other lads were. Well, we've spoke about this. Let's go around the table again. It's a good exercise. What was it? What was your first card?
Mine was mine was in the first break that I literally, a brother messaged me saying, "Oh, have you got this credit for whatnot? Get in." So yeah, I jumped in, didn't know what I was buying, but on the first break, I got Real Madrid as like a random team, so that was always a good start in Topps Chrome 23-24, and out came a Valverde Black Laser Auto. I was like, this is amazing. This is so easy. God, this is great. So no, I absolutely love that card. To be fair, it was the design on the Black Lasers were nice anyway. But yeah, it was a really good start. Downhill from there, but it was a great start.
Yeah, I don't remember my first card. I think again it was for probably pretty similar. We kind of found the hobby through kind of whatnot, so the gambling side, on breaks. So our first probably card was a random base bundle for first 5. Yeah, it is though, isn't it? It is. Let's be honest.
It starts that way sometimes.
It did for us. Yeah.
I mean, life's a gamble, isn't it?
It is.
If you're going to spend your money, spend it on sports cards.
Yeah, like I said, it's better than I used to gamble on the 40 back in the day, and now it's just a different way around. So it's just, it's the same thing. And you usually get something out of it sometimes. It's fine. But obviously back in the day, I collected as a kid. They were most memorable ones. To be fair, collecting the old around the petrol stations. It was the 98 euros, euros. Were the ones, the England ones, the petrol station, little like small ones. The other ones I have real vivid memories of. But on the recent times, mine was a Delict patch, the 4 from Futera, same set as Jack. When I first thought, again, this is amazing, it was out of 4, and I realised the rarity of the serial number. I was like, wow, what? 4 of these in the world, and I've got one of them. This is like ridiculous. And the patches match 4 from the actual player. Right, let's get involved in this then. This is amazing. So that was the one I do remember of my first card where I had for a long, long time. I was like, I like this card. And then it was the end of history from there. So, what you, Pete?
And mine was a purchase from a very nervous Jack Wright streaming his first Tonali autograph.
Single stream, weren't it? That was a singles one, yeah.
That was brilliant. I remember, I never forget it going live, and I put I propped like my I propped my cards like behind the back of the behind the back of the kettle in the kitchen. So I was like, oh, I need something like that just shows like so at least you can see the card. You got the kettle in the toaster just in the background, and I've never looked back since, to be honest. But yeah, it was a great. It was something.
We all start somewhere, don't we? And I remember
Yeah.
my first stream. It's actually so back when there was a lot of Instagram breaks, and I actually printed out Rainy City cards on a piece of A4 paper and stuck it on the wall with blue tack. And I did the break on top of my daughter's bedside cabinet. It's just crazy, little read. But so I don't know if you guys remember it. I've actually still got this card from when I was a child. So I was lucky to grow up around, when Premier League Gold was released.
Yeah.
At the time, Futura released a Man United set, and there's a particular card with a young David Beckham on the front of it, and he's holding a golden retriever. Have any of you seen this card?
No.
No.
So if any
You're
of you
looking
have
for that?
actually got access to eBay right now, I can't remember what year it is. It's either 97 or 98, but there's a card of David Beckham and he's holding a golden retriever in his arm. And yeah, it was in the Futura Man United set. So I've actually still got that card, but
Oh, it's 98. It's 98. It's
Have you
a
have you
hell of
found
a
it?
card. Yeah, I found it.
He's
Brilliant.
got full
Like-
curtains on and everything.
Yeah, full curtains. He's got the old turtleneck jumper on, holding this. That's amazing.
Yeah,
What a man.
with with lashings of Brill cream through his hair as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it's actually for how old the card is, it's actually quite inexpensive.
Yeah. Oh, you can buy it now for £2.19.
Wow.
crazy, isn't it?
But again,
Yeah.
it's what's invested, isn't it? I suppose
Yeah.
draw parallels with so many different types of collections, but it's like a song, isn't it? It brings you back to a place and a time and the feeling that's associated, which is sounds like we're of a similar age and similar place when it came to cars. But yeah, I remember the gold coming out and things like that but I also very much remember what you were saying, Ryan, about the old the World Cup and the cards you could get from the different petrol stations and things like that. But even that, I was obsessed with collecting them. So
Yeah.
What would you say is your favourite set of all time?
Oh, that's a great question.
it doesn't have to be by year.
Yeah, I was going to say yeah.
Yeah, it's really difficult that. Wow. I'm not going to give one of each sport. Would be our own night. But I mean, I'll give a couple. So one, is not football. So the first one is the first F1 Crawl. Fantastic. I think it just brought in a lot more collectors to the hobby. But in terms of football, I mean, I was slagging it off before Domrest. I've always liked Domrest just for the case hits. You take too many cards. But outside of that, and I think it's actually released next week. Got Dynasty. I know I know the last release of Dynasty. Won't forget about that. You had like Ansu Fati or rookie autographs from what was it, 22, 23. And my heart bleeds for anyone who bought a box of Dynasty and that were the autograph that you're pulling. But yeah, I mean, I've been quite fortunate to have Dynasty cards from, both football and baseball. Just that novelty wears off, and to be fair, like the resale value is really good on those as well. But yeah, I mean, I do like the higher end sets. That's where it's at for me. But I will actually give it a nod. I think Futura, I'm mentioning Futura again. I think they've done a fantastic job, in the last couple of releases. I just absolutely love the design of the cards, and I'm excited because I don't know whether it's a rumor or not, because when I last spoke to Futura, they weren't giving anything away. But am I right in thinking that the rumor mill is that they're going to start getting a lot more licenses for future products?
As far as I've heard, yeah, that's their big thing at the minute. But yeah, we're all massive for Terra fans, to be fair. They just do it right. They do the detail, the level of detail they go into, the designs of the cards. Yeah, we're all absolutely huge fans. On the Dynasty, you'll be happy to know that in the new one, Garnacho's got some Man United patches, so you can carry on that collection.
Absolutely not. I've actually got a number to 25 Garnacho from Argentina Focus that I pulled from one of my boxes that I opened, and I've had it listed on eBay for around 6 weeks now, and it's only $14.99. Best offer, and no one's. I've not even actually had one offer for it. So it tells you where this market is right now, considering where we were early last year. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. Well, him and Mainu, wasn't it? Like for that, like a year ago, or probably slightly less. Them two, the stock on the cards was like mad. You'd be paying 100, 120, 150 quid for a card, and now, like I say, you can't sell them. It's crazy how quick it changes.
Yeah,
It's crazy, isn't it?
I'm actually going to change my answer because you've actually reminded me there that I was heavily invested in both Mainu and Garnacho. So I said Dynasty. I'd say my favourite set released is Museum Collection because I actually did start a Mainu and Garnacho Rainbow from that set. Again, it's not stupidly priced, for the number of hits that you do get in Museum.
Yeah. We've loved that. That's one of the most recent sets we've ripped, to be fair. 21-22 Museum, and it's just caters for everyone. It's an auto relic. Like that's been brilliant. I've got a question on the market though, just because I'm keen to see what you lot think about it. But Estival, what do we think is going to happen with the Estival market? Because we've seen Yamal go like skyrocket high. And then we've had a little bit of a quiet, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, we all know, I think, what his capabilities are, but a little bit quieter. And then this Estival's just come out of nowhere, isn't it? Just bang, like the market's booming. You'll see it, Kieran, on Phantom. But what do we think? Do you think it's going to stay there, or do you think it's going to drop?
He had a card sell the other day, like straight after the game, didn't he? The 1-on-1 went for something silly, like 17 or 19k or something.
Yeah, daft
stupidly
prices.
high. Yeah, it's a tricky one. I think with Yamal, I think the issue with Yamal is that Topps have just overused his signature. I think that's half the issue. Yeah, it's interesting that he's obviously, we touched on it outside the podcast before, but he's obviously he's only got a Marks of Excellence in the new Dynasty. He's not actually got a card in the set. I wonder whether they've just run out of autos. But yeah, I feel that's kind of killed his price a little bit because obviously there's just so many of them. And Estival, from what I've seen, there's not loads and loads and loads of signatures yet. But you know what it's like once they kind of catch on to one or two of the kind of rookies that are coming through. Yeah, they mass produce, don't they? So I think they'll spike for now, but then I think they will probably do the same as Yamal, especially if he doesn't. It's so there's so much recency bias in it as well, right? With like if he's got a real good performance recently that shoots up, then he doesn't play well for a couple of weeks, it drops down, and it's crazy how much it fluctuates.
It does. Yeah.
All I'll say is look at his ex-teammate Hendrick. Look at what's happened to his market. We're going back to only earlier in the year. You were getting base autographs selling for a few £100.
Yeah.
I mean the sports card market is very volatile, and that's one reason why I only really pick up Legends autos. So I've got a Roy Keane PC, and you can pick a Roy Keane autograph up for a base auto for £25-30 for one of the top 10 midfielders and one of the best leaders that the Premier League has seen. And that's also another reason why many sports vendors at shows do well selling vet autos. You can pick them up for a reasonable price, especially of some of these Facebook groups, and you can actually make a profit on that. It's only marginal, but we've seen it. I mean, I saw a couple of Estival cards at Collector's Showcase, and they were still there at the end of the day. So if you're an investor, all in. But I'm just a little bit skeptical, especially with me previously PC and Mainu and Garnacho, what can happen with their markets, and we've all had a PC that's blown up in our face. So yeah, just for me, I just stick to the old boys.
Yeah, it is volatile, and it's too much to change for now. They've got too much. They've still got a lot to prove, ain't they? These young players.
Well, if
So-
we even look at Ranieri and Scully, we were saying the other day, weren't we? As
Yeah,
well,
that's another one.
when they first hit the scene, it was through the roof. But obviously, Scully's getting more than Ranieri at the minute, but the game time isn't quite what it was, and it's stabilised their price a lot.
One I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called. The 16-year-old at Arsenal. His market's done a kaboom.
Oh, Max, someone, isn't it?
Max Dalman, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like a right talent. Yeah.
He does.
Yeah, Max Dalman, yeah.
Yeah, Max Dalman. So quite reminiscent. It reminds me of Jack Wilshere in ways. But I think he's going to be the next big thing when it comes to his first cards going out, especially his autographs going out into products.
Yeah.
It's
awesome.
it's nice to have a few rookie chasers back in the Premier League teams, isn't it? To be fair, like obviously a lot of them back there with Brazilians and your mild Spanish kids. It's nice to have some teams in the Premier League that have got good chasers and rookie chasers as well now, especially leading up to the Prem Chrome coming out and the future Prem sets with tops as well. I think it'd be nice for us to get involved. You're seeing the value of the Prem Hobby Box now as well. We said it before. Again, Chelsea becomes, when you're breaking, Chelsea becomes now that team where people are overpaying for Esteval and people are, Paez as well, another one in there. Yeah, it's nice to see it. That's nice as an English collector, collecting them English teams, putting our clubs to have a nice big chase again. I think it's good.
Yeah. I feel like the Prem Chrome hobby is going to absolutely blow up as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Top's Prem Gold's going to blow up before it.
Well, yeah, there is that. Yeah. Tops are just bringing out sets left, right, and centre, aren't they?
I'll wake up tomorrow and do another one.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's really good. Awesome. So yeah, I think it's probably a good place to wrap up. So, Ben, thank you for coming on. What I'll do, I'll pop a link to Manchester CardCon in the description, and I'll pop a link to your socials as well, for anyone that wants to go to the actual show itself. I'm sure a few of us will probably head up there as well. It's always good to get to a card show. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for running through that stuff. Hopefully it's been okay. Hopefully it's not been there's not been too many dodgy questions or curveballs or anything thrown at you.
No, I'm in good company, and I just want to say thanks for the invite and just keep up the good work. It's really refreshing what you do. It's nice to see the level of variety that you brought to the table, pun intended. So yeah, long may it prevail, and you never know, you very well could be nominated for Podcast of the Year next year.
That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Hey,
Would be great.
That'd be good.
Yeah,
That'd be
keep
good.
working hard. But yeah, thanks for joining us, and thanks for your support as well. Like you always told me, you listened to when we spoke at the pub at that time at the Collector Showcase. You said you literally were telling me what we've been speaking about. That's when I knew you were a super fan, Ben. So it's nice to hear. Nice to hear. Even when you're listening to the car on the way here, mate. Honestly, that is so nice to hear. It's nice that we've got people actually supporting us, mate. So
yeah, definitely.
No, thank you as well, mate. Thanks for joining us.
Speaking of community, I think it's the first time we've actually met, although it's virtually, Ben. So it'd be good to get down to your show and actually shake your hand and have a good old chat when we get there. So yeah, appreciate it.
Oh, definitely. You're more than welcome. Ryan, you might not be able to come because I believe it's TradeWe's first year anniversary on the same weekend, which I'm actually devastated about that. I can't come to TradeWe for the first anniversary. It's on the same day as Manchester CardCon.
Oh, is it? You're joking? When's the next one after that? We got any ideas for the next one or what after that one? Or you take it as it comes?
Well, we have got trade night, so you're more than welcome just to come to that.
Nice one, mate. Appreciated.
Yeah. Thanks, gents.
Nice one.
Awesome.
Cheers, Ben. Cheers, guys.
Perfect. Yeah. So that's it for this week's episode. Make sure you drop any comments or questions. Obviously, Ben will be able to see them anyway because he follows the podcast, but we could pass them on. And yeah, make sure you follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and join in the conversation. And yeah, we'll be back next week. Awesome.
Guys.
Cheers.
See you next week.